Jimbo. Now you're an Eagles fan, clearly.
Yes.
I'm Giants fan, clearly. Um, we might have a problem. Jayden
Yeah.
Daniels looks good. He looks really good.
Yeah.
He looks
But
too good.
I seen the clips, from this past Monday night, and with the Eagles defense, against the Saints, maybe that was a one-off that they played good. He might light up the NFC East.
I was gonna say, every year we look like last year was the Texans. We looked at it like, oh, what a surprise out of nowhere, C.J. Stroud and all that kind of stuff. And it's like we've been trying to think about this year, like who's gonna be that quarterback, who's gonna be the surprise team, who's gonna be something like that. And I know a lot of people were thinking it was gonna be Chicago. I know a lot of people from Chicago was hoping it was gonna be Chicago and Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
It might be the Commanders, and I don't like it.
No.
And welcome to Stay Tuned Sports, everybody. It is your boy King and your good friend Jimbo right over there. I know, I feel weird. I'm still not used to that because I'm so used to you starting off the show because when we used to record it, you would kick it off. But now that we're kind of doing it live and we're doing it from the OBS here, that I have to kind of open the show now. It's weird. It's weird to me. I know I open up the other ones, but this is the main show. It's weird to open up the main show. I'm just saying. But anyway, thank you for joining us here on Stay Tuned Sports. Yes, if you like what you're watching right here on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe. We have all that down there. The subscriptions really do help, and we've been getting a few of them. Our goal is to get to 100, and my goal was at the end of the season, hopefully, to get to 100. We're at 81, I think, right now. So, progress. I know it's not huge. But it's progress. You don't understand how much that means to me. We just started here, so it feels cool. It feels great to have all that going. And again, thank you so very much. Also, we have our links to our donation station and our merch store down there as well as the QR codes right up there as you see. So if you just want to use the technology that you have a phone, you have anything else on your computer, you want to just pew 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 pew. That certainly will help us out. And a link to the Discord we have down there as well. Little dead right now, but if you join, you can make it rowdy. Make it rowdy in there. Make it fun. That's what we want. That's all we want. Jimbo, as we talked about a little bit here to start the show, Jayden Daniels might be a guy.
Yeah. I'm still sticking with my 4-week thing. After 4 weeks, I think that's when we get a real good look of what teams, what players are, what they've been playing as. Say this coming week, Derek Carr lays another egg like he did against the Eagles. Granted, Eagles defense played very well, but this was the question, like with Derek Carr coming into the season. Which Derek Carr were the Saints going to get? Were they going to get the beginning of the year from last year that he was just lighting it up left and right, or were they getting the end of the year where he was just throwing interceptions left and right? So same thing with rookie quarterbacks. Not a lot of film per se, and it also bothers me that he's so good because damn well Kelly over there at LSU is like, hey, that's my guy. I made him. Shut the fuck up, you asshole.
Hey, listen. Really, to be honest, if we got to think anybody, maybe it's Herm Edwards because that's where he started out in Arizona State. So maybe we'll do that. But he started as a freshman at Arizona State. So I mean, I think Herm saw him, and saw that, and then when he went to LSU, and you think about how he's playing now, and then you think about, okay, he was playing there, and he had like Malik Neighbors as a wide receiver, and he had all the other like that's good. And listen. That's something else I want to talk about, too, is because Malik, of course I want to talk about it. The Giants, Malik Neighbors, with an absolutely mind-blowing performance that he had this weekend as well. And now the the preseason bet that they said, oh no, we're not going to do anymore. No, we didn't do it because Mike Florio kind of blew it up on him and was trying to say like, oh, this is illegal gambling. They can't do that. What are they saying? But they had a bet with each other since they were teammates at LSU. Who was going to be Rookie of the Year? They said they had a $10,000 bet of who would be Rookie of the Year, either Jayden Daniels or Malik Neighbors. I think that's a legitimate bet right now as to see who it's going to be. Because, again, Malik Neighbors, like I said, had an absolutely amazing game on Sunday for the Giants against the Browns. And Jayden Daniels had his coming out party yesterday. Now, to what you're saying, to your effect about, giving it time and seeing how they perform, I still think... Let's see if I can try that again. I still think he is a rookie quarterback. So he is going to have some games where he looks like a rookie quarterback. I think that's okay.
Yeah.
But if he can do, like even in some of the games, even if he does half of what he did this Monday night, and I think that's the other thing too. I think that's why a lot of people are very kind of going nuts over this, is because it was in prime time. It was, and it was honestly the only game worth watching on Monday night, because by halftime the Buffalo Bills and Jaguars game was over. So by that point, I think everybody switched over to Commanders and Bengals, and like I was saying, the throws he was making, like it was legitimate pinpoint accuracy. It was legitimate, perfectly placed balls. He was spectacular, and I hate saying that because he plays for Washington. So, as a division rival, he can eat my ass. But, like, from an objective standpoint, damn, does he look good. And now watching, or thinking back to off-season Hard Knocks with the Giants and seeing how much Daboll was in a lather over this kid and was just like, we knew Washington wasn't going to trade out of the pick. Washington was never leaving that pick. They needed a quarterback. They needed something. They were there. They were going to. But Daboll was like, short of murdering everybody in Washington, I would do whatever we have to do to move up to get to him. Yeah. You understand why. And you can see that, he's a football guy. He knows what he's talking about, at least in Daboll. Maybe not great at play calling, but, we'll get there. We'll get to that. But it makes sense that, that's why he wanted to do this, because you could see it. This kid understands the NFL game. And right now, I'd say he might be... Okay, well, hold on. That leads into my other question.
Okay.
And I know you talked about it a little bit. I already talked about it a little bit. We're not even at 4 games yet. We're not even at 4 games. So, but sports talk is about hyperbole. It's a little bit about, kind of overreactions. Hell, we got people who have overreaction Mondays as an actual show and podcast and everything. So that's there, and that's the actual talking heads that are paid for it, not just us YouTubers trying to, be that way. It is Jayden Daniels this year's CJ Stroud? And what I mean by that is he going to be, of all the rookies that were picked, of everybody that was like again, we've seen what happened. You see what CJ Stroud is doing now, and you see what Bryce Young did last year.
Yeah.
And to this year to now where he's benched. And it's like, is it, like, first of all, do you think Jayden Daniels is, or let's say, could be this year's CJ Stroud, as in, like none of the other rookie quarterbacks that were picked, like Bo Nix, like Caleb Williams, like that, will see this kind of success or see this kind of level of people being like, oh, wow, no, this guy is a guy this year. And also, the other thing I wanted to ask was, and I forgot what it was now. So, but I'll let you go with that and say, like, do you think he can? Is he this year's CJ Stroud? Or I know early reactions, but is he?
Yeah, I don't want to say is, this year's CJ Stroud's
There you go. You got it.
third time's a charm. But I could say and agree he could be, because again it is early. I think you kind of see a full season to say if he's a Stroud or not.
Jimbo, you're not being nearly overreacting enough. You're not being nearly overreacting enough. You got to overreact to this. Is he? Is he not? Guaranteed? No way. Is he? Come on.
I don't know. You know me. I always I want to be honest and everything.
I get it. And listen, I'm the same way. I'm 1,000% the same way. I got into a conversation earlier this week about.
He has potential to be better than Brock Purdy.
Now you're just trying to.
See, you want me to go at it, so.
You're needling now. I'll say
with
this.
No weapons.
I'll say this. I think he might be the only one with a chance to be this year's CJ Stroud. And by what I mean by that is he seems to already have the ability. He has at least one weapon in Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
And boy, did he use him on Monday night.
Yeah.
And it seems like they can, at least he can, kind of cover up for the fact that the Washington defense isn't that great.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing. Washington won that game. But the Bengals did put over 30 on them.
Yeah.
It's not like Joe Burrow sucks. It's not like the Bengals didn't play. Now, the Bengals defense, that's another question. And that's something that we can discuss. But, I've seen people bring up the fact, like, oh, Joe Burrow, he's terrible now, and he's not doing great. Like, Joe Burrow didn't have a terrible game on Monday night. And that's it. The Bengals put up points. It's just that Washington and Jayden Daniels put up more. And if that's something that he can do more throughout the season, like we're looking at a team that can ride that kind of 9-8, 10-7, maybe 11-6, maybe. Like I'm saying, like they're on the cusp of all of a sudden people being like, can they be a sneaky wild card team that gets that last 7th spot out of nowhere? And I've seen other people say, oh, can they win the NFC East? Let's relax on that for a second.
I see that happening more so than a wild card.
Listen, can it?
Just because how long has it been since we had a repeat winner for the NFC?
Over 20 years, I think now. Yeah.
Right. When's the last time Washington won it?
2000. What is that? 2011, 2012.
So you're going on 12, 13 years.
RG3's first year, I think it was.
Yeah. So it's like they're due. They finally have a quarterback because the Washington was getting up there with the Browns of how many quarterbacks over the past 20 years do they have, and things like that.
The Giants haven't won one in like 17 years. So if we're talking about anybody that's due, let's relax. If it's all based on who's due.
But see, if me and you weren't friends, I wouldn't be like, I'd be like, okay, yeah, fine, the Giants, but I like seeing you suffer a little bit.
I like seeing you suffer too, although it hasn't happened a lot lately. Like I said, I'm lucky. This is like the 3rd time I've ever held this goddamn belt. But I'm not going to go out on a limb and say like that they're good. Like, ooh, they could win the NFC East. But if the NFC East keeps playing the way it does, like if the Cowboys continue to cowboy it the way they've been doing, if the Eagles allow Nick Sirianni to keep making critical decisions, like, listen, if I'm the Eagles at this point, whenever if it's like a 3rd and long play, get Big Dom and get him to just slowly pull Nick away from the sidelines. Just pull him back, pull him back.
Yeah.
Let somebody else make a decision. Let Big Dom make the goddamn decision of whether or not to go for it.
That's what I was just thinking. It's like fire Sirianni because he doesn't make the offensive play calls. He came out again. Kellen Moore is driving. He's just the passenger. He doesn't make the defensive calls.
So what do you do, sir?
Exactly.
What are you doing, sir? Other than making the terrible decision on fourth down to either go for it or not kick a field goal and take the points, which everybody in the world knows, kick the goddamn field goal.
So by that point, just give Big Dom another title to his other 25 titles that he has. Just put head coach, put a clipboard in his hand with a blank piece of paper on the other side to look like he's important, and let Kellen Moore make the right calls here.
That's the other thing though. So if that keeps on going, and listen, I'm not even going to talk about Thursday night yet because I can't even dare to dream. I can't even dare to dream yet. But
I'm just upset that I have work the next day. I can't do the whole show.
Dude, if there was ever a time to just start taking up cocaine and just stay up a little extra, it'll be that day because you one way or another you're going to see me have a meltdown. Whether it's a positive or a negative one, I don't know which. But you're going to see it. Our good friend Gwendon we've already had a little bit of the back and forth already. Rivalry. Pulled the Jimbo there. Rivalry week. There we go. Words, ladies and gentlemen.
It's a tongue twister.
Rivalry week is always fun. It's always a good one. And the reason this one's even better is because it seems like there's a chance that the Giants might win. Which, before the season, didn't think so. Didn't feel it. But here we are. And the Giants have a chance. We have a chance. If we catch the Cowboys still kind of in their funk that they're in. And are they in a funk?
It's not good already. That's only the third game, and you already have Dak Prescott
walking into the locker room, just telling the media as he's walking in, jump off now, please. If you don't like it, jump off now, please do it. It's like
that's not good. And here's the thing too, is I seen a couple articles, people post, talking about is the seek in Hoff McCarthy. Okay, fire him now. What are you gonna do? Get Bill Belichick? Fine. You're not going to make the playoffs. You're going to have a whole new system come in. It's not going to work. So
Jerry doesn't do that. Jerry's not a guy. It's very, very rare. I don't know if he's ever fired anybody in the middle of a season.
I would say.
I want to say maybe once or twice. I can't remember.
Yeah. What's his face from Arkansas? Switzer.
Did he fire him in the middle of the season?
It was pretty damn close to the middle of the season.
I know maybe he's done it a week or two before the end or something, but I know because, Jesus Christ, he held on to Garrett for 2 seasons longer than he should have. Yeah. And, he seems to be very much of that kind of a loyal guy. So at this point, it feels like he would be we're in with who we have. And it's either sink or swim with what we have, and I'm not because that's it does. If you change a coach, it doesn't it's not going to change anything. You might get 1 or 2 games with the coaching change bump. Yeah. Which I think that's a documented thing. I've seen it happen so many times. Yeah. It happened to the Colts, and they hired Jeff Saturday. So.
The only real successful one was just a few years back with the Raiders.
Was Ralph Bisaccia, yeah. Which they should have kept, and they didn't, and the players begged for them to keep him, and they didn't. And who did they pick up? Josh fucking McDaniels. And they fucked that up terribly. Yeah. They had players ready to run through walls for Bisaccia, and he left after the season, after they lost their playoff game, he left handwritten thank you notes on every single player's locker. That's... you want to talk about just commanding respect and loyalty from people? And Mark Davis was like, man, I like Josh McDaniels. Wow, look at my haircut. It was that to this day is still one of the more baffling moves for that organization, which makes nothing but baffling moves. But, and maybe they'll have another one because now the talk's getting real heavy about Devontae getting moved, whether it's to the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, whether it's to Pittsburgh, I've heard being said.
Maybe Philadelphia?
No, just shut the fuck up. No. No.
It's Howie Roseman. It's Howie Roseman. You never know.
And why? So that Hurts can throw 2, 4, 5 picks a game, trying to force it into him instead of AJ Brown. Like, listen, we talked about that a little bit too. Your boy. Oh boy, your boy.
Yeah.
6 turnovers already this year.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm just saying, he's got 6 turnovers already this year. He's like, I saw somebody put up the meme, and then I stole it and I put it up myself. It was like a flirting versus harassment, and it showed Jalen Hurts stats, and then it showed Daniel Jones stats, and Daniel Jones stats are equal to, if not better, and he's got more touchdowns and he's got less turnovers than Jalen Hurts, and it's like.
But also, Mahomes has just as many turnovers as Hurts.
Yeah, but he's also 3-0, and he's also Mahomes, and he's also won 3 Super Bowls.
See, you can't say that though. You can't. Oh, he's Mahomes.
Yes, you can. You absolutely can. There's a difference.
So if Hurts has 1 or 2 less turnovers and more passing yards, Mahomes gets a pass?
A Mahomes turnover is different than almost anybody else's turnovers because they'll almost always make it up. It's always. It kind of reminds me of Brett Favre a little bit. And like Brett Favre had more turnovers than anybody, but you kind of accepted it because you were going to get so many other plays on the positive end that it's like, yeah he's going to throw some crazy shit out there and do that. But also towards the end of his career, he just kind of threw crazy shit and it always backfired. Like the interception in overtime against the Giants, the one when he's with the Vikings against the Saints and cost them that game. Like there's a lot to go over. When it comes to that, but no, I don't think all turnovers are equal. And in that case, like I said, Danny Dimes had those 2 bad ones in the first game against Minnesota. But like I said, the last 2 games he's played fairly clean. He looks a lot better. He seems to be improving. Him and Neighbors seem to be getting that connection going. They seem to be working on that relationship there. So that looks good. And again, it seems to be improving. Meanwhile, here we are in the 3rd game of the year, and he threw another. And let's be honest with each other, it was a bad pick.
Yeah.
And also, he fumbled again because he holds the ball like a loaf of bread. Like if you're moving around and you're going to run like that, you have to secure the ball some way better than what you're doing. Because again, it reminded me of the one in the Super Bowl, which you did say as well, where he basically fumbled it himself, trying to get away from people. He kneed it out of his own hands. Like that one was very close to being that. I think the same player actually did hit it. But at the bottom, at the end of the day, the Eagles need to figure out a lot of stuff. Now, maybe they figured something out on defense. Maybe it was the Saints having a bad game. That could also be. But it seems like the Eagles played very well on defense and were able to go ahead and contain Kamara and keep that Saints offense, which was looking very powerful and very good, to a very low minimum. They only got 12 points. So, but you still have a lot to figure out on that offense.
Yeah, we do.
And honestly, until you do, I think the recipe is simple. And I've heard some other people say this, and me, I don't like to say it because it kind of makes my team look stupid. But until you're able to kind of either, get a better connection between Hurts and everybody else or whatever else is going on in the passing game, fucking hand the ball off to Saquon.
Yeah.
Sit back and relax. Hand the ball to Saquon. Let him do his thing. Every now and then, throw the ball to Goddard because he's apparently a fucking dog. But like outside of those 2 guys, which again, those are your MVPs for the game on Sunday. Let them run the offense for now.
And especially now because AJ Smith didn't practice today, so he's most likely going to be out again. Devontae Smith is going to be out. Or AJ Brown, and Devontae Smith is going to be out.
Again, you mix it. You want them to merge so badly. You want AJ Brown and Devontae Smith to just do like the fusion dance from Dragon Ball Z and just become one.
Turn to this huge ass monster, quick, which, by the way, speaking of Devontae Smith, the Saints are a dirty motherfucking team.
No, they're not. Stop it. Stop it. No,
Dude is knocked out, and the Saints player spits on him. There's a video out there, so you could say no, he didn't. That's all you want. And then also
accidental. It was accidental. Fluids are always going around here and there on a football
when you
field.
stand up, look at him, and go, Tua. Yeah,
he spit on that thing.
And then Darius Slay, I was right, you were wrong. He didn't get pushed into the bench. He just got pushed 5-10 yards, past the sideline and hurt him. The Saints are just dirty players.
Somebody got hurt by air? Like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So then he's soccering it up. He's trying to play up. He's like, oh.
Yeah. And then on top of those, our top two receivers, Britton Covey's out now, multiple weeks. He broke a bone in his shoulder or his arm, so he's going to be out for a few weeks. And now we're down to
no more
Dotson.
Burleton?
Yeah, no more. I know you were liking calling his name
every time they did. I liked Burleton. He was fun to call.
So it's, now it better be screens to Barkley, run up the middle for Barkley, a little dump off.
Well, we know how screens to Barkley sometimes work, so maybe not so much of that.
Yeah.
But listen, being a Giants fan, obviously, I subscribe a lot to the old school Bill Parcells philosophy, which is if a play is working, run it until they stop you. And the Eagles seem to start running Barkley. He starts getting ahead of steam, and then they say, let's try everything else in the playbook before we hand it off to him again.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here like, what the fuck are you doing? You have the guy. You have the guy. You paid him a lot of money to be the guy. You brought him in, and guess what? He's everything you wanted. Yeah. He hasn't really failed you in any way, shape, or form. He's been the guy to do the thing that you wanted him to go in there to do. Let him do the fucking thing. What are we doing?
I mean,
that stuff drives me nuts. And I'm not even an Eagles fan. And it drives me insane when you see them play this game. And it's like, just turn around, hand the ball to the man, and let him go. That's all you have to do. Crazy.
I mean, he's leading the league in rushing. And
he could be leading it by a lot more if they would have just handed the fucking ball off to him more.
Yeah. And if you want to chalk up to, we're still trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work, what plays work for this player and not that player. You had all OTAs, all training camp, all that to figure it out then. You should know what plays work for what players and all that. When you have a running back, I don't know offhand, but he's got to be averaging like 7 yards a carry. I mean, every time we see it's like...
While you're talking, let me go ahead and look.
Yeah. Every time we start bitching about him not getting the ball, whatever, they start handing him, and he's getting 8-9 yards a carry. Which is, I was actually kind of thinking about this, a little side note. I was laughing a little bit at work today, thinking about how when we signed him, I said, here comes Saquon, 2,000 yards rushing and 17 touchdowns. And you're like, oh, shut up, he'll be hurt. He's probably on pace for that, for both of those.
Let me look here. Saquon Barkley. His average so far this year, average per carry, is 5.6 yards a carry. He's had 63 carries for 351 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a long of 65 yards. He's also had 10 receptions for 53 yards, averaging 5.3 yards per reception. He's had 10 receptions on 11 targets. He only dropped 1. Guess which one that was. But still, you're talking about
happened.
You're talking about over 5 yards a carry.
Yeah.
You hand the ball off to him twice, you have a first down. Like that was what was so perplexing to me. Like on what was it? Was it this past game or was it the week before?
The week before, because
when they handed the ball off, his first 4 carries were 9 yards, 9.5 yards, 10 yards, and 11 yards. And then you didn't hand the ball off to him again for like a quarter and a half.
Yeah.
I started losing my mind during that game on the live stream. What are we doing?
Yeah. Well, they were junking up the middle there. We don't want to run that play because they're
That's
dunking it
why
up
you
in there.
have a man who has an ass that's bigger than my chest to run for you. Because he's got the power to run through the junk in the middle. He uses the junk in the trunk to power through the junk in the middle. That's why he's there. That's why you paid him that money. And he does it pretty goddamn effectively.
Yeah.
Dude, I've never seen a team whose fans want to murder the coach more. And you have a fairly decent like on paper, like when you look at just wins and losses and stats like that, on paper, you're like, Sirianni's a pretty successful coach. Like, he was pretty successful. He's been very good for them. They're doing well. But in the last 2 years, I've never seen a fan base want to murder this man more than any other coach. Chip Kelly didn't want to get murdered this bad. You guys didn't. The overall sentiment was like, Chip Kelly sucks, get him out of town. Chip Kelly sucks, get him out of town. With Sirianni, it's not just that. It's a level of frustration of dealing with someone like who's just willfully ignorant. Yeah. And it's just like, it almost like to the Eagles fans, it seems like the Eagles fans are saying like, you're just trolling us now. Yeah. Like you're just doing this shit to piss us off. Because you know it pisses us off, which only pisses them off more. It's insane when you see the decisions and how they do. Like, I don't know, brother. I don't know.
You name the last time a head coach after winning a game, the fan base still wanted him fired.
Still wanted them fired. Dude, we watched the game. We saw the Eagles fans in the Superdome, and he's just like, "What the fuck are you thinking?" And it's like you didn't need you could read lips pretty easily. Yeah. And it's like, what? Like what? There are some thought processes that he does in his decision making, whether it's time management, whether it's play calling, which I know he says he doesn't have it yet, but he makes the call and go for it on fourth down. Like that's a head coach decision. And funnily enough, that's going to bring me back around to Jayden Daniels. And why that is I'm watching on Monday night on, I think it was the last drive or maybe next to last drive. It was the one where it was the drive where he threw a beautiful rainbow pass to Terry McLaurin on the side, like in the side back of the end zone where he's able to toe tap, got it in, beautiful catch, touchdown. That put them up the final amount that they needed to win. On that drive, they had a fourth down and converted it. He was like, okay, we're staying on the field, doing this fine. They did it, they converted it. They had another fourth down, and it looked like Dan Quinn wanted to get him off the field and was going to go for a field goal. Oh, okay. And Jayden Daniels looks at, and you see him, he's like, trust me, let me do this. We can get it. Let me stay. He fought to stay on the field, to get the fourth down, to convert it, to take more time off the clock. And sure enough, he did it. And that's something. Like, it takes one thing to say, like, no, screw you. Let me do this. Trust me, I can do it as a rookie. Yeah. And then on top of that, to do it, to make it work, to make sure that you did convert the fourth down. Like, it had the sense of a veteran presence. It had the sense of somebody who's been doing this for like 7 or 10 years. Like, it had an Aaron Rodgers almost feel to it, of like where he's looking at the bench and being like, I'm the quarterback. Stop. I can do this. Like, please. Yeah.
It just shows his confidence because, I mean, it's not like it's a Kellen Moore head coach or Nick Sirianni. Dan Quinn, who is a successful head coach. He got to a Super Bowl.
Was this close to winning one?
Well, yeah.
It was. He was this close.
But and it's kind of known that Dan Quinn is a somewhat of a hard-nosed head coach. So for him to also be like, you know what? All right, let's see what you got. And
part of me almost thinks maybe he was kind of doing like, oh, see, get what you want. Like if he failed and comes back, he's like, see, maybe next time you listen to me, huh? But no, like he was able to do that, and that's the thing, and that's the difference too. Is like there's confidence, and then there's like bravado, and that kind of arrogance. And I think that's what it is. There's a thin line between confidence and arrogance. And that's what when you saw him like pleading with the sidelines to stay on, it wasn't out of arrogance. It was of confidence. It's like, no. I can do this. We can win the game if we just stay out here. We can run this clock down. We can milk it, and we can get it done. Trust me. And he did. And I think that shows something in this. Like, again, we've talked about how it's just how it was his coming out party. And it was more than just the plays he made. It was more than just the stat line. It was those kind of moments, those kind of leadership moments, those kind of, no, I got this, trust me. And that almost veteran presence. It really was impressive what Jayden Daniels did on Monday night. And I'll tell you what, man, thank God I switched over to games, because that Buffalo-Jacksonville game was bad. Here,
well, when we were live yesterday doing our power rankings, I had NFL Network on just in case there's breaking news, and it was the Commanders Bengals game, and up top left was the Buffalo and Jaguars thing. And as we're going, being on the YouTube here, it started off 20 to 10 or whatever, I think is when we went live, and every so often, 28-10. 35-10, like, holy
it was never 10. They didn't have 10 that early. They didn't get 10 until late in the game. Because at halftime, it was 34-3.
That's just insane.
And that's when I was like, we're switching games. I was like, I'm not doing this. And especially when I saw, like, Washington was winning in Cincinnati, I was like, ooh, drama. I was like, drama. We got drama. I got to go to drama. We're doing drama. We're, on the fly. Got to switch.
Well, this Monday you got two more games. So you might have to.
I don't know. I'll look at it. I'll see. I don't know. I know the Dolphins are in one. I may not watch the Dolphins one. Maybe Seattle, Detroit. It might be Seattle, Detroit. Just because Seattle's 3-0, Detroit's 2-1. Measuring stick game. We'll see. There might be some intrigue there. I don't know. Again, we don't know where Seattle is. Like we said, I think this game's going to tell us where they are. As far as how good they are and whether or not they go into or out. Seattle might be a team, depending on how they play. Even if they lose the game, they might jump into the power rankings, which I made fun of you for. But depending on how they play, all of a sudden that 3-0 record might be like, okay, then it's a little bit more substantial because they've actually played them well, and we'll see. If Detroit handles them well, then we know where they stand too. So I think that might be something we do. So that might be the game that we're watching on Monday. But I saw this on the X Twitter, and it brought up a point I wanted to talk about for a while. Because this offseason we saw quarterbacks get paid. They got a lot of quarterbacks got money. Tua got money. Dak got paid right before the season. Jordan Love got his bag. Trevor Lawrence got a bag. I think there was like 45 minutes that he was the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. So I think it was Tua got it then, and then after that, everybody was one-upping everybody else every goddamn day of who was going to be the highest paid quarterback. Until finally Dak got his right before the season started, and was like, "Ha ha! I am now $60 million a year," and all this other shit that he got. And of those top four, their record is 1-9. Wild.
And I wonder what the average, if you average out their salaries a year, I mean, it's got to be 50 to 60 million. I think that's all four of them were pretty much averaging.
Because Dak is making 60, somewhere 60 or a little over 60.
Yeah.
And the rest of them are like 55, 56 million a year. They're in the upper 50s when it comes to per year. I'm gonna say, let's take a look at those quarterbacks there. Which one to you? I'll ask this of you first.
Okay.
Of the quarterbacks that kind of got paid in this offseason, who is your most disappointing as of so far? Or who do you think is the quarterback that has not lived up to his contract the most so far in this season?
I don't think it would be fair to say Tua. just because we didn't get to see the whole year of him. I mean,
No,
yes, he
but
did
dude,
get
that
hurt.
game against Buffalo, even before he got knocked out, he was throwing
Yeah.
some real bad balls.
That's why I was like, I think I was watching that with you, or even I was just watching at home by myself.
Yeah, that was
I
you
think
watched
he
the
had-
first half. You watched the first half. Yeah.
Okay, it felt like he already had a concussion, like that type of decision. Like he was like a step slower with everything. But as far as the other quarterbacks, so that would leave Trevor, Dak, and Jordan Love. You said.
Jordan
Again,
Love was the other one, but again, Jordan Love, he's part of this group because he is, I think, the fourth highest paid now.
Yeah.
As things go. But again, he was injured at the end of the game. I'm not saying he played terribly, but he also doesn't have a win yet, technically. So
Yeah. So I mean, that just leaves me with Trevor and Dak, and as much as I want to shit on Dallas because it's Dallas, Trevor Lawrence. I mean, out of those four quarterbacks, he's the only one that I never felt like deserved a big contract like that. He did deserve a contract extension, but not no 50 million, be a top 5, top 7 quarterback. I would have put him top 15, top 20 type quarterback with
yeah,
how
but
he's been playing.
apparently that's not something that they would have accepted because they wanted to get franchise quarterback money.
Yeah, and so I would say Trevor Lawrence is the biggest bust of
So
them
Trevor
all.
Lawrence's contract that he signed in this offseason was a 5-year deal worth $275 million. That puts him at an annual average salary of $55 million a year,
That's insane.
which puts him on par with Joe Burrow. Now, as far as the per year average goes.
Yeah,
Now, here's the thing: like Joe Burrow also is 0-3,
yeah.
so.
But Joe Burrow has consecutive years of playing good.
But like I said, and not only that, like on Monday night, he didn't play bad. Like he didn't play bad on Monday night, and he hasn't played bad before. Like week 1 against the Patriots, yeah, I think he probably played bad. And the Bengals seem to always kind of get off to that slow start. But like again, he didn't play bad. He hasn't played bad in the past. Trevor Lawrence, like again, at the end of last season, they lost what was it, 7 in a row?
Yeah.
To end the season. Didn't play well at all. Like we said, everybody saw him regress. And then so far this year, his quarterback play has been, like, there's no other way to say it other than atrocious. He's been absolutely atrocious. Like, that pick that he threw to DeMar Hamlin, he threw it right into his belly.
Yeah.
Like you can't throw. The only worst pass I've seen this year was Anthony Richardson throwing it into the end zone when there was 4 Bears around, and that was it. Like it's like, what kind of pass is that? But at least Anthony Richardson has had 1 or 2 good. Is something on fire? No. Okay. I was worried. I thought something might have been on fire.
They're probably just driving around looking for Trevor Lawrence to arrest him.
That could be. I don't know. Well, I have my window open in the front, so maybe someone's burning something in there. I have no idea. But like, there's no like Anthony Richardson has at least some wins or something. Like he has,
Some
they
positives.
have a win, and he has some good passes, and he looks good at times. Then sometimes he does have some of these insane throws. Like he's got to clean that up. But also, he's basically still a rookie. He didn't play at all last year. So he's still got to work through those kinks and everything like that. Has there been worse quarterback play this year? Sure, if you look at Bryce Young, if you look at some of the other, Gardner Minshew. But even Gardner Minshew has a win.
Yeah.
Like, Trevor Lawrence has played bad, and they're not winning. You pay that kind of money to a franchise quarterback. They go ahead and rename the stadium for the week 1 Trevor Banks Stadium. As like, we can't lose. You can't lose that game. They lost. They got crushed, and now they got the Texans coming in. Of the big, like I said, Dak again. When it comes to Dak, I don't think Dak himself has either played bad either. I think it's a team effort for the Cowboys. But
Yes.
I don't think he's played bad. Uh, Trevor Lawrence has been bad. He's been more than bad. And this is the thing too, is you paid him that much money. You can't really bench him, especially like when you just signed him.
Yeah.
Like there's no fixing this. And now
You're
because
just
he
stuck
has
with
that
it.
contract, like you can't get rid of him. You can't trade him at some point if you want to. You can't look at maybe getting somebody else. Like you're stuck with him. And people thought giving Daniel Jones $40 million a year was a bad deal. Look at some of this. Like look at this Trevor Lawrence deal. I'm sorry. Anybody wants to say the Daniel Jones deal was bad? This is a bad deal. This is a franchise crippling deal. Daniel Jones' deal is not franchise crippling, especially as at the end of the year, if he doesn't look good or improve it or look super great or get the Giants to the playoffs or whatever we're looking for, they're out of the contract. They can get out of it. It's done. It was the 2 years. They don't have to extend it, and they can let him go, which might happen no matter what happens. You're stuck with Trevor for 5 years
Yeah.
at $55 million. That's not great. That's not great. So I think that is probably the most disappointing of the big name quarterbacks. Like I said, Jordan Love. I think he's going to play this week against Minnesota. We'll see how he does. And then I think we can make a more assessment after a game or two of seeing him back in action. Tua, like I said, even before the injury, Tua wasn't looking great. So
Yeah.
again, it might be hard to assess that, but again, it seems like these quarterbacks got big numbers, and they're just bad. And is that just a thing? Is that if you get paid well, you just start to suck? Because this isn't the first instance where I've seen something like this,
Yeah.
where it's like teams pay somebody or a player gets paid and then they don't play as well as they should have, or they become the highest paid player and they're terrible.
Look at Ryan Tannehill and Fitzpatrick. Contract years, they balled out. Once they got their new contract, multiple years, 2+ years, average until that contract year of that contract.
Who, Ryan Fitzpatrick? You're not throwing Ryan Fitzpatrick in there.
Listen, I like Fitzpatrick.
He was never
I'm
even
not
really
putting
a
him down.
starter anywhere. Like he was a starter one
Oh,
or
he
two
was a
places.
starter of like 30 out of 32 teams.
Right, yeah, but that's after the starters got hurt and he got to go in there, and then he played well, and then it was like, oh, well, why don't you just start him? It's like, because he's Ryan Fitzpatrick, and he's up or down at best. Like, he did well with the Jets, and then, I think he left in the offseason, he went other places. Like, yeah, he was never really a starter. He was a very good journeyman, though. He should be, he should be a Hall of Fame journeyman just on that,
Yeah. Now, you talk about, not to get off the subject here, too, but look at the Steelers with Justin Fields. I mean, he's not going to. The Steelers better not give him no $50 or $60 million a year, but they may get like a bargain if they want to extend him, because I think he's playing a hell of a lot better than Trevor Lawrence. And see the contract that Trevor Lawrence got. So give him 30, maybe 40 million, and then take that money and build up that offense or resupply the defense. I think Pittsburgh's in a really good spot as far as quarterback wise.
No, they seem to have played this perfectly. They have two. Listen, there's no other way to say it. Mid quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But they have a defense that is insane. The best in the NFL, in my opinion, and I think statistically it might back me up too.
Yeah.
And an offense that is just good enough to where you can do it. And listen, Fields seems to be improving every week. He seems to be getting better, more comfortable in making longer throws, a little bit deeper throws, more challenging throws, trusting his receivers, trusting himself. He had a good running touchdown. He had a passing touchdown in the last game. I know he also threw an interception, but that is going to happen. But I think that's his only turnover so far this year. So, again, when you have that kind of defense to lean on, which they've been able to keep together because they don't have a $55, $60 million quarterback.
Yeah.
And when you look at the NFL this year so far, passing is way down. Rushing seems to be on the way back. Everything is cyclical, baby.
Yep.
And that's it. The passing is way down. Running seems to be coming back up, and good defenses. So when you have that, it's like the Steelers this Steelers team might be made for 2024 for this season, for that. Like you're saying, like they have kind of, they fit right into the nook there of this season of how it's kind of playing out so far in the first 3 weeks. And some of these other teams that have the big contract quarterbacks and these big quarterback names, it's like, ugh, it's not there. Like, and you look across the board, Patrick Mahomes is not lighting up the board. Like, again, the best passer we've had this season was Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
He's the first and only quarterback so far that's had 300 yards and 3 touchdowns.
And who's he play for?
Carolina Panthers. Baby.
So
that's it.
It's,
you know what I mean?
That type of season.
And just goes to show you that maybe it was Bryce Young. Maybe. And again, I'm not saying it's all his fault either. He never, like, Andy Dalton is a very seasoned vet. He's been around. He knows how an NFL system works. He knows how NFL defenses work. He has that. Bryce, I don't think ever had the chance to quite develop, especially down there. And so I still think that it is an organizational problem about his development.
Yeah.
But like in the now, like he's bad. You have to be able to develop him. And like I said, he looks a lot like Jordan Love did in his couple of spots of relief work for Aaron Rodgers in his first year and in the preseason of that year, first couple of years. Like he kind of looks like that, where he made terrible decisions and wasn't doing great. But like if you get somebody to just sit down, learn the game for a little bit, and I've said this before, and I will harp on this. This is my hammer point that I just want to hammer every fucking time that I can. You have a rookie quarterback, sit their ass down. Just sit their ass down. Yeah. Let them absorb the game. Let them learn. Let them learn your system. Let them learn NFL defenses, because it's a different game than college. Even the colleges that run pro-style offenses, it's still a different game. You have to give them time to acclimate. You have to give them time. And very rarely do you find yourselves a C.J. Stroud. Very rarely do you find somebody like that can just come in off the bench and do it. Listen, there was not a worse quarterback in 1999. I think it was 99, 98 or 99 did he come out? It might have been 98. Than Peyton fucking Manning.
Yeah.
He had the most picks in the league. I remember I watched a game, because I told you I used to go to Jet games where my dad used to get the tickets for it. So we went there. I remember I watched, and that was in his rookie year against the Jets. I think the Jets won the game 41-3 or something like that. And it was, my dad fell asleep in the seat next to me as we're watching the game. Like, it was so bad. He was so bad that I remember actually sitting there being like, maybe Ryan Leaf was better. Maybe Ryan Leaf should have been the number 1 pick. Like, that's how bad it was. And that's Peyton Manning. So that's what I mean is, like, you need to, even the best quarterbacks in the league, if you just throw them out there immediately, are going to look terrible and are going to suck.
Yeah.
Like, I think you need to go the Packers' way. And everybody laughed at the fucking Falcons. Everybody said, why are you picking Penix when you paid $100 million for Kirk Cousins? And I love Arthur Blank, Mr. Put himself in a ring of honor, said, we're going to do the Packer system. We want to have a quarterback who we think is very good, and we want to sit him down, let him absorb the game, let him learn under a very good veteran who can help us win now and help us hopefully get back to a Super Bowl or a championship or a division or whatever, just some kind of success.
Yeah.
And then whenever the time comes, if he happens to get injured, if he happens to leave, if he retires, whatever happens, that we're not caught off guard, which has happened to the Falcons so many times, like he said. Like, oh, it's happened to us so many times. We don't want to be left like that.
Yeah.
And so we've seen what the Packers have done. We've seen how they've been able to develop their quarterbacks, first with Aaron Rodgers under Brett Favre, then with Jordan Love under Aaron Rodgers. It's like, that seems to be a good system to do. And I 1,000% agree with Arthur Blank and with the Packers and how they run things. And so far, the proof has been in the pudding. So Why more teams don't do that, I don't know. It seems to be kind of this, oh, well, we got number one pick. You're a number one pick. You were clearly the best player in college. Go now.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. It's funny is that the Bears picked Caleb Williams, who won the Heisman 2 years ago. But Jayden Daniels won the Heisman this year. But the Bears were so focused on getting Caleb Williams because he was the best on the board.
Yeah.
Because Mel Kiper said he was great or whatever. Maybe they missed, which would be hilarious, that they traded out of the number one spot to the Panthers, who picked Bryce Young, who was a miss for C.J. Stroud. And then the Bears, because the Panthers traded out of that pick, got the Panthers' number one pick and picked Caleb Williams, which might be a miss because Jayden Daniels got second to Washington.
Yeah.
Kind of a little turnabout fair play there. That's kind of weird. I don't know. One more thing I wanted to touch on.
Okay.
Before we head into that wild blue yonder, known as Thursday Night Football, coming up tomorrow, and we'll make our picks here because we have to.
That's right, yeah.
The world of college football had a bit of a interesting morning.
And it's still going on.
There's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot
Yes.
of he said, she said, as you will. The starting quarterback there for UNLV, Matthew Sluka, put out a Instagram letter this morning, basically saying, "Hey, UNLV, all the fans out there, it's been great. These first 3 games have been really fun. 3-0, doing good times here, but well, UNLV verbally agreed to pay me $100,000 for my NIL deal. And I don't think they fulfilled their end of the bargain. So because of that, I cleaned out my locker and I'm just going elsewhere. So for now, adios. Thanks a lot. It's been fun." Now, UNLV has come out and said that they have met every contractual obligation that was needed to be met in the NIL deal. There are rumors going around that after starting 3-0, that Mr. Sluka there hired a NIL agent, and then they made a demands from UNLV to be paid $300,000 for his services, his NIL deal there, to which UNLV balked that, and that's why he left. Yeah. So there's a lot of different stories going on right now about who did what was or wasn't agreed to. Was there a extortion attempt from Sluka and his agent against UNLV? All this other stuff. That's something we can discuss. But I think there's a bigger picture thing here is this going to be the catalyst? Now, again, there's already been talk about it. I know the NCAA president, the new NCAA president, has been very bullish on trying to embrace NIL and get it under some kind of control, guardrails, arrangement, things like that. But is it something like this going to be something that fast tracks it and gets maybe more of the politicians on the case of it, which that always ends well. Yeah, they get the government involved. They always know how to figure shit out. But like that's what it means. Like, is this the future of college football, or are we going to see this kind of make everybody say, "Okay, stop, pause. We need to immediately kind of finagle this, fix this, and get it to where we have some kind of system to where, listen, if you agree to something like this is going to work like contracts now. This is going to work like employment.
Yes.
You guys wanted to be paid and you want to do all this stuff, fine. But now we're going to work like employment. So if you decide to commit somewhere and you sign that dotted line about the deal and everything like that, you're going to play for us for that deal regardless. This isn't a case where you're going to be able to renegotiate halfway through a season and say, well, I want more because I think I'm worth more.
Yeah.
That's not how this is going to work. Like, so that's my question to you is, are we going to see more things like this, or is this going to be we need to stop this now and fix it?
The thing with this whole story and with your question too is, and I asked you this in our little chat there. Unfortunately, with me and you, we're not sure if the NIL deals are a written contract or is it strictly verbal, like this deal was. If it's all strictly verbal deals, yeah, something's got to change. Something's got to get fixed.
Well, this is what I mean. I want to know what was written and what was verbal, because Sluka is saying that the $100,000 was a verbal agreement.
Yeah.
But if that's a verbal agreement, what was the written agreement? Or was there a written agreement? And was the written agreement like, payments of like $3,000 for every game, and it turns out to, I don't know what it would be, like $40,000 or whatever.
That's what I'm saying. The way he made it sound, or either he made it sound or the team made it sound about the whole verbal agreement, that to me sounds like there was no written contract. It was just a good handshake, gentleman's agreement, and I'll make sure it works, type thing.
And that's what I mean. Yeah, like so.
They have to, NCAA or whoever is going to be in charge of tweaking this process. That should be the first thing. There's no more verbal agreements.
No, 1,000%. And that's what I mean.
Written contract agreements.
But this is what I mean. Like, was there ever an NIL deal signed by both Sluka and UNLV?
Yeah.
And then, like, if he and his agent went to them and say, oh, we're playing well, I want more, and he felt like there was a verbal agreement for more money, and UNLV's like, no, there wasn't. I don't know what he took it at or what he inferred it as, but that's not the case. And he's like, well, I think it was, so therefore it is, or like, so that's what I mean. What was written? What was a contract? What was verbal? And at what point there was like, and I think I agree with you, is that at some point there needs to be the system in here where it's, no, everything is basically contract. We're doing contracts. Yeah. We're going to make sure it's all legally binding. Everything is legal. Everything is, we're going to set it up, signed, sealed, delivered. That's it. And then you guys can, once that's done, that's done.
I would even take it up, because I was thinking about this after I talked to you a little bit through the chat there. If you feel like you're outplayed your NIL deal or whatever, and you feel like you deserve more money, there should be stipulations in each contract that says, fine, you want back out of this, you back out of it, but you repay back every cent that we gave you. And then,
well, that'll never. No, you can't do that. I don't think that's legal. First of all, but second of all, like, listen, this can be just like you can. I'll commit for 2 years, and then after 2 years, we'll see how we're doing and negotiate it, and either I'll earn more, or you guys can strip me of my scholarship, or whatever you want to do. Yeah. But we'll work it like that, and see how you want to do that. But because, again, this goes into the whole thing of how, because again, you have the bigger schools that can give more money. So, and I think that's, I'm wondering if that's what it goes part of this too. Like, he's playing well. Maybe he's got his agent in his ear, like, you could play for an SEC school. You could play for Big Ten with how good you're playing. Maybe you wait until you go there. So instead of making $100,000, you're making $1, $2, $3 million on your deal, which we've seen some of these players making over at Alabama, Ohio State, LSU, things like that.
Yeah.
So I think there needs to be guardrails as far as that goes, like caps for everybody.
Yeah.
And whether that needs to be, like, I know the NCAA president talked about there being like basically a giant pool of money, where it's just like there's the NIL pool for your Division I, FBS, whatever you want to fucking call it. I still call it Division I because I'm old. Schools, where that is distributed evenly, and then each team has that amount to spend on NIL deals for their student athletes, which they're not student athletes anymore at this point; they're employees. And then the NIL deals will work as contracts. Okay, you can commit for this year. There you go, and then we can, at the end of the year, you can either jump into the transfer portal or you can do that. Like this is the thing. The idea of college football being what it was, we have to get it out of our heads because it's not. It's not that anymore. It's not going to be that anymore. We have crossed that bridge. It's dead. It's done. So this is not going to be an argument of, well, they shouldn't be paid at all, and we should go back to the way it was, where you commit to a school and you're there for 4 years, damn it. And sure, in a perfect world, sure, everybody would like that, but that's not going to happen. So I'm not going to spend time trying to sit here and argue about it because it's dumb. It's dumb to argue about something that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's like trying to argue to bring the Redskins name back. Would it be cool? Yes. I love the logo. The uniforms are great. I didn't find the name to be particularly offensive, and neither did a lot of... I know I'm white, so I don't care. But, there's a lot of Native Americans who did not find it offensive either. As we've seen, even the family of the guy who was the logo seems to be okay with it. But the point of the fact is, the name's never coming back. So there's no point in arguing about it. There's no point in saying, like, oh, let's get a petition. We should do it. It's not coming back. Give it up. Let's move on. Although they do need to move on from Commanders because that's a terrible fucking name. It's the same here with college football. We're not going back. It's never going to be what it was, where it's just these kids aren't paid. You get punished if you get a fucking ham sandwich, and you can't buy a textbook because even while other college students can get a job at a pizza parlor, they can't because it would be special privilege. We can't have that. Yeah, and that's never going to be what happens again. But there needs to be some kind of regulatory oversight in the college football game, at least here on the Division I level, where it's like, we're going to treat this like a business. We're going to treat this like NFL Junior.
Yeah.
Let's treat it like NFL Junior. And then that brings up the whole case of whether the players are going to unionize. And I know there was a couple of students that wanted to do that, and that's probably going to happen at some point. So then you're talking about that, and there's going to be this and that, and we're getting to that point soon. Yeah. Like college football kind of already was the NFL's minor leagues. It really is going to be that now.
Yeah.
And so that's just what it is. But there needs to be that kind of oversight where it's like, nope, no more verbal agreements. Everything is written down. And there are set caps. You can only spend this much, and this goes for every school. There will be a central pool for all the schools that we can divvy up from all the media rights and everything like that. And that's another thing you have to talk about. I think that's it. There needs to be a massive restructuring.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah.
Of the college football landscape, where you have a central, whether you use the college football committee system or whatever as the basis. Like, I like personally the proposal from I think it's called College Football Tomorrow, where they have it, and I kind of went nuts with that, and I might do a video on that later. Which, if you want to see it, like, share, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments of where you would divide college football into 8 divisions.
Okay.
And you'd have the Big East and the Big Ten and the SEC. They would all be 10-team divisions, and then you'd have one division be like, I don't know, the American division. We'll say that'll be the American Athletic Conference or Conference USA or whatever. And that'll be a promotion relegation division. Okay. Where you'll have teams that are from the lower level, like the FCS or whatever, or lower ones that aren't in these top divisions, be able to jump up and stay in there. And other teams that don't perform well, they'll drop down. And then you can have like a relegation bowl, a promotion bowl. In the lower levels and the upper levels, adds another little revenue stream, excitement. But you also then have one committee. You have one president or one committee for president, or so there's one structure, and then they can handle the media rights, and that goes around to everybody, and then everybody works from that pool, like the NFL does. Like, there's gonna have to be that kind of major restructuring because, again, going this way. Just kind of Wild Westing it, just kind of freeballing it, letting it all flap in the breeze is not going to work. And this is just another huge example of this is the problem. And I'm not saying Sluka is wrong. I'm not saying UNLV is wrong or right. Either one of them. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this will be handled in a court of law at some point.
I have a feeling that's where it's going.
But there needs to be a massive restructuring of college football. If this is the way we're going, and we are, there's no going back. Like I said, there's no going backwards.
Yeah.
So there needs to be something new put together moving forwards. And the sooner that everybody gets that, and I know everybody wants their piece of the pie. Everybody, like the guys who run the SEC and the guy like Sankey who runs the SEC, it's going to be hard for him to say, well, no, I don't want to give up our media rights deal. I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to cut anybody out of our league. I don't want to do any of that kind of shit and blah, 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 blah. But at some point, you're going to have to come to these guys and be like, it's either this or we're dead.
Yeah.
So, like, whether or not, it's whether you want to save face with it and say, like, okay, well, all the commissioners of the current conferences can all be part of this 10-division conference, whatever you want to call it, system. And so all of you guys are actually the leaders. We'll have all of that. It'll be like a board. We'll have a chairman of the board that'll speak for everybody, but everybody will be there. And so everybody gets a piece. Nobody's left out. All you can sit the fuck down and stop bickering and bitching and moaning, and we'll work on that. Like that's what needs to happen. And until we get to that point, until everybody decides to, stop having a dick measuring contest about, well, SEC, well, Big Ten, well, ACC, and I'm spitting because I'm so frothing over it. But until that happens, like, college football is going to be a problem. It's going to be in this kind of problem.
Yeah.
So, I guess we have to talk about it. Thursday night.
I'm excited.
I'm excited. Probably more anxious than anything.
So the way your voice kind of went up there, I sensed a hint of
anxiety,
not believing yourself.
Anxiety. It's called anxiety, Jimbo. I don't know if you've ever had it before. It's not great. That's why I smoke the cannabis. But indeed, Thursday Night Football this week is the 1-2 Dallas Cowboys, who are in a bit of disarray.
Yes.
Having on a short week to travel up to the big air conditioner there in East Rutherford to take on the 1-2 New York Giants, who started out looking in disarray. And the last 2 weeks, even though they lost to the Commanders, Daniel Jones is looking better and progressing. Malik Neighbors looks like a superstar. Our defense
played a little bit better.
Playing better a little bit. They didn't look quite as ass. Again, it was against the Browns, so...
Yeah.
Jimbo, there's no further reason to be beating around the bush with this. Who you got? Who you got on Thursday?
Well, first I'll say make sure you guys tune in Thursday night because I'll be there for the first half, and you're going to want to see King spiral out of control one way or the other.
One way or the other, we're going. There's going to be no middle ground on Thursday.
Yeah. He'll be flying a plane. There's no wheels on it, so it's gonna be fun. Yeah, I mean, you could happy, crash land and everybody's safe and happy, or you could crash and you're all dead.
All right, but
because of no wheels.
It doesn't have anything to do with flying the plane. I mean, you could say I don't. I would have went more with be like he's an 18-wheeler with no brakes or something like that's. It's either you're on the open road and going fast and real happy, or you're crashing through a school bus and everybody's dead. I don't know.
Do you remember me? I'm not good at delivering.
You're not good at the metaphors. No, I will agree with that. You're not very good at the metaphors.
All right. So as far as the game, I always go against Dallas. So this is honestly like my honest pick. I think the Giants are going to win. I think it's also going to be a low-scoring game. I think this is going to be Dallas's defense finally wakes up.
Don't say that. I don't like the sound of that.
And I think the Giants' defense, they seemed more together last week than obviously the first 2 weeks. So I think they'll still play good. I think Danny Dimes, he'll have a okay game. Like he won't turn over. I just think it's going to be, 15, 12, 14, 13, something like that type of game. But I'm going with the Giants.
Okay. There's a couple ways I can go about this.
Don't pick it as a Giants fan. Because then I know you take Dallas.
Because I picked against the Giants last week.
Okay.
And they won. But I also picked against them, against Washington, and they did lose. And then I did pick them to beat Minnesota, and they got crushed.
Yes.
So I still got a little PTSD about picking the Giants, about beating somebody. And again, we haven't beaten Dallas I think it's like 18 of the last 19 games or something. Like, we have not beat them. Like, it's a bad record. Like, we do not. Like Jerry Jones even said, he's like, it's always fun to go up there and beat the Giants' ass twice a year. It's always fun. And also talking about other guys' dicks, apparently. But that was an interesting sound clip. If you haven't heard it, do yourself a favor.
I saw that. Jamie Foxx. Oh shit.
I don't know. Like, see, this is the thing. I don't know. Who do I? I don't know. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can pick the Giants. I don't know. Psych, bitch! Psych it out all the day! Giants winning, baby! It's always the Giants. It's never not going to be the Giants. Giants are going to win. Finally end this goddamn streak we have against the Cowboys. We're murdering them. Psych out, bitch. It's happening. Cowboys suck. Dak sucks. Everybody sucks. Jerry Jones is an old man who sucks. Nasty, wrinkly balls. He sucks. Giants are winning. It's over. It's a wrap. It's done. Woo!
The only thing I would say about your rant there, they're not murdering the Cowboys.
Yeah, it's over. It's over. It's going to be done. Yeah. You think it's bad in Dallas now? You think it's bad in Arlington? You think it's bad in Frisco where they have their big star? We got the big star in Frisco. That's where we practice and let everybody watch us. No, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. Giants are going to win. It's going to be when Jerry Jones might have an aneurysm. He's going to just you're going to see his head just explode in the suites up there at the big AC. It's going to be great. I'm just in reality, I might still pick the Cowboys just because the Giants. I don't know. Who do I pick? I guess I have to go with the Giants now because I kind of did that whole bit. But,
yeah. Whoops.
Oh well. We'll see.
I will say, if the Giants do murder the Cowboys, McCarthy will be fired Monday.
Like I said, I think if the Giants beat the Cowboys, Jerry's going to fire everybody, including himself.
Yeah.
I think that might actually happen.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how that goes. But, boy, dude, tomorrow night's going to be something.
Yeah.
It's the first real big. But watch, the only thing I don't want is for it to be what it always is, which is like 40-0 fucking Cowboys and 6 interceptions or whatever. Like, I just don't want that. If that happens, you might do the rest of the broadcast yourself because I'll be dead. But
you think about all last year Thursday's games, this year's Thursday's game so far. They haven't really set it on fire. They've been kind of slow.
They have been lackluster, yeah.
Yeah. So this could be a lackluster game. That's why I'm thinking a 13-14 type score. I may even pick the under. I don't even know what the over-under is.
I can tell you real quick. Let's see.
I may look at one of my weird parlay bets that you don't understand why I do.
No, I mean, listen. You had the one pay off the one day.
Yeah.
Let's see. What you had? Because you had Saquon and Stevenson like to combine for 25 yards or more in the first quarter, and Saquon had like 26 on his own. Like
yeah.
Let me see here. Where is my NFL? Here we go. And the over/under is 45.5 for the game, and the Cowboys are favored by 5.5.
That's tough. I mean, I think I would take more the under instead of the 5.5. Whether I pick the Giants or the Cowboys.
Unless Daniel Jones has a 4-touchdown night.
Singletary, three rushing touchdowns and a receiving touchdown.
Let's go. Malik Neighbors just going off. Come on. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen, boys. You could do it. You could do
Jayden
it.
Daniels, who? that would be funny. Malik Neighbors catches a third receiving touchdown, goes up to the camera and just screams, Jayden Daniels, who?
I'm back in the lead for the year, bitch. Yeah. That'd be nice. I'd like that. Yeah. That would be fun. That would be fun. That would be a fun night. I would have a fun night. That's all I want. Jimbo, this is the thing. As a Giants fan, I just want to enjoy watching football again. That's all I want. I think it's all any football fan really wants. I just want to enjoy watching football again. And they always tease me a little bit here, a little bit there. 2022 was nice. Oh, we have a good game here, and then we suck for 3 games. And we beat the Ravens, but then we fucking lose 2 in a row. Or I just want to enjoy football. That's all. That's all I want to do. So Giants, my only plea for you, and I know nobody from the Giants is watching this, and I really hope that somebody does share this with you at some point, but I doubt it. Just let me enjoy watching football once, please. Like, there was a time in the long, long ago. They tell stories. They tell tales of the days when the Giants were consistently in the playoffs and winning divisions and in the Super Bowl. Even when we weren't that good, we were 9-7. We're the only team, I think, that had 9 wins to ever go to a Super Bowl and win it. I miss those days. I miss the days of Big Blue Wrecking Crew and just fun, entertaining football. Please don't lose by 20 or more tomorrow. That's all I ask. I think that's a simple request. Just don't lose by 20 or more. Jimbo, any final thoughts before we get the fuck out of here?
The only thing I will say is, Nick, go for the fucking points this weekend.
or else.
You know, I already got the PFA against Kellen Moore. I'll go for the duo.
I'll find your address. They did it to Dan Campbell. I'll find yours too. For legal reasons, he won't trust us. He's not going to do that. I don't want to. The last thing I need is people coming after you, trying to get you arrested for, stalking Nick Sirianni or something.
I just came for the flowers.
I just want to see the flowers. How does he do the manure and the flowers? He's very good at growing them. I wanted to see his garden. That's all. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching and hanging out with us here. It's been a blast. If you like what you watched, like, share, and subscribe. Helps us out immensely. Again, join us tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, for the Giants and the Cowboys for Thursday Night Football. And again, donation station links are down in the description and up there as well. Merch store, same thing. Discord links are down there. Thank you so much for watching. For your good friend Jimbo, I am your boy King. Have a great Wednesday. And again, we'll see you Thursday, everybody. Adios.